guys, Di here from Di's Den, and welcome to Wowza Wednesday for August. Wow, there we are, halfway through the month, and this is what we're going to make. Yay, these are little suitcases, and they're actually a gift box. So what you do is you push that out like that, and you have this lovely box. Now, I know that this will fit a pair of, not the real thick men's socks, but it will fit a pair of men's socks in there. So it'll be a great present for Father's Day coming up in September in Australia. So that'll be a great idea. I think I'm going to make one for my dad with some socks in it, if I can get it back in the thing. So this one's got happy birthday on them, but I'm going to make the next one with the words happy birthday on it again. But I will make one for my dad with some, to put some socks in it. Now I've used, this was copper clay, and this was paper from the new catalogue. This one was an old paper from a long while ago and retired cardstock and everything, but we're going to use a bit of retired and a bit of new, because believe it or not, the tailor-made tags have retired, which I'm really quite sad about, because I actually think they're fantastic. But we're going to use them. We're going to use some paper that has been retired for a while. So let's pop them over there. I've got stuff on my fingers. We're going to use the tailor-made tags, right? So we're going to be using this shape, not that shape, this shape one, and we're going to use the two smallest ones, and I've already cut them all out, so you don't need to wait for me to cut them out. But I'm going to use this set here for the happiest birthday, so I'm using it just for that, and that's the round we go, and that's new. That's a really new set, that one. So okay, so we're going to be using some old designer, embellishments. These are actually called blue, but that blue is very green, so we're going to be using those for the green. I'm doing this in garden green and real red and a little bit of white. So this is what you're going to need. Let me pop all them over on one side there, and we will do our tag, put those bits on there first before we do, oops, there's another one of them, there it is. I think that's all of them now. Ooh, yep, before we actually make the box. Now, and I've got a feeling that I've cut this too long, so we will go through that. I know I've cut this at the 10.5, but I've got a feeling it should have been 10.25, but we will work through that as we go. All right, for our card base, our box base, we need a piece that is 6 7/8 by 5 3/4. And then for the lid, we need a piece that is 7 by 5 7/8. So that one's the bigger one. All right, for our wrap, I've got a piece here that is 10.5 by 5. So I'll start again. The wrap is 10.5 by 4 5/8. For my handle, I have a piece that is 6 inches by 1.5 inches. For my tags, I've got, because I've did both of them, a piece that was measured 3 1/4 by 2 inches, and then this piece measures a little bit longer because it was about the same, 3 1/4 by 2 inches. But I can chuck those in the bin now. And then you'll need 4 1.5 inch circles. Now if you've got a 1.5 inch circle punch or a die, that's fine. So that's what we need. And this is our tag. I'm going to do mine in the coordinating like I did with these. As you can see, I did this coordinating here. So I'm going to do that, and that gives them time to dry. So let's pop them on now. I'm going to use my little tweezers, only because that's easier to hold. I'm going to pop a little bit of glue around that one. I'm going to pop that up against that top edge, and then I can squish that across while I've still got time to move it so it's in place. Okay, now we only want one on the top. You could put one on the underside if you wanted to, but you don't need to. We're not actually using them much. So, and same with this one here. So, do the same again. Happy with that. That way they can dry while we're messing around with the rest of the card, as I always say. Alright, so let's move all them bits out of the way. Come on, move, move. They don't want to. Alright, let's pop them there. And the only other thing I'm going to use, as this is a bit of baker's twine, but again this is actually retired too. So I'm going to use a bit of that. I don't know how much yet. I'm not sure, I can't remember. So we're going to make our box first. We're going to start with the box base. Let me put the pin in the glue. And bring in my scoreboard. And this is the piece that measures 6 7/8 by 5 3/4. And we're going to score this using our small end of our ball end, because of this it's cardstock, and we're going to score this at 1 1/8 on all 4 sides. So 1 1/8, 1 1/8, 1. No, I did that at 1 1/4. Did you notice that? 1 1/8. I'm going to turn that over, and I'm going to pop this onto my big ball, and I'm going to run that down there so that that line has gone. So 1 1/8. Just make sure I did that at 1 1/8. Yep. And then the last one at 1 1/8 of an inch, all the way down. Ooh. Okay. So let's move that board out of the way, and let's make this part of the box up. So we're going to cut up to that score line, and we're going to notch in on the edge like so. And we can notch in this side as well if you want, so that we know it goes in together really nicely. Oops. And we're going to turn it around, and we're going to do exactly the same thing from the other end. Like so. Let's get rid of those bits. And we're going to then turn this over, and we're going to fold and burnish these score lines. Okay, once we've done that, we're going to bring in our glue again, and we're going to glue onto our tabs here. And then we're going to bring this in and make it nice and square on that corner. Nice and square. We're happy with that one. We'll do the other ones. I'm really doing well today, aren't I? There we go. So we'll bring that one in. Squish that one down as well. Pop that out the way. Bring those ones in. Glue on this one. That's got a bit of glue showing there. And this one as well. So we're going to just pop some glue on this one, this tab. And then we're going to bring that in, and that's our box base. So we're going to leave our box base over there, and I'm going to put my pin in my glue again for a bit, because with the weather we don't want it to dry out. And we're going to actually bring in our trimmer this time, and with our lid we're going to actually trim a piece off of the short side and one long side. Now see this black line here right. Oh, that's a bit dirty. That's all we're going to trim off. So I'm going to pop that up against that trim line, that line there on my trimmer. So it's really a very, very slither, like a slither. That's all we're taking off, like that there. And we're going to do the same the other way. Let's pop that out. Now, because that's not even 1/16, that's why I like to just give you the full measurements and then say off of 2 sides, measure, take off just a slither. So it's such a tiny small piece like so. I'll just pop it over there so you can see just how tiny they are. Alright, so let's pop them in the bin. Let's bring in our scoreboard. And once again, we're going to use a small ball, and this time we're going to score at 1 1/8 again. And this time we're going to do it properly all the way around. I bet you we do. 1 1/8. 1 1/8. 1 1/8. Woo! Okay, we did it right. Yay! And then we're going to actually cut this and glue it exactly the same as we did the other one. Now, if you wanted to put designer series paper on the top of this, you could, but you would probably have to wiggle the measurements of your wrap a tiny bit. So, and because the wrap has got the designer series paper on it, it really doesn't need it. Okay, so let's move them out of the way. Fold and burnish all of these ones again. And this one, there we go, and then we're going to fold it. We're going to glue this one the same as we did the other one. So glue on this tab, bring it over, bring it over, and again like so. Let's pop the pin in the glue for a second. That was given that time to dry, and we can pop our lid onto our box. As you can see, it fits on there really lovely and snugly. If you'd have left that little bit on, it would have been loose, and I don't like loose lids. I think they're a bit yucky if they're loose. Alright, so now we're going to bring in our piece of designer series paper, and this is called the wrap, a wrap. And we're going to score this along the long side as well. This time we're going to use the large ball, and we're going to score this at, I can't read that from that far away, 1 1/8, 4 3/4, 6 inches, and 9 5/8. Now you really want a pattern that doesn't have any upside or downside because of wrapping it around. So you don't want anything that's directional. And we're going to fold this and burnish this. So as you can see, this was from a golf paper that we had a few years back. Making sure it's still nice and square all the way along the sides. Okay, if I need to actually cut that piece off, we can do that. Whoops. Nope, I did get that right. It is 10.5. Okay, so we're going to pop the smaller piece on the underside, and we're going to pop some glue along that smaller piece here while it's wrapped around our box, because we want to make sure that it is nice and even on the sides. And we're going to be able to pop that on there like so. Now we can actually slide that out so we can see, and we want to put this join at the back, so we want to pop the box in the opposite way around. At that stage it didn't really matter, but that's our wrap around our box. Okay, so now we're going to need our circles. Pin in the glue again. I can see it already drying because I've got the heater on in here because it's quite cold outside. And I'm going to bring in my scoreboard one more time, and I'm going to score these all at 3/4 of an inch on with the small ball. 3/4 of an inch, only because if I score them at 3/4 of an inch, I know I can then cut them all in half, and I know they're all going to be the same size. Oops. There goes my tool on the floor, because we're going to need that again in a minute. And we're going to cut them all in half, like so. I could have done half of these for you, couldn't I already? And then I'm going to bring in the scoreboard one more time, after I pick my score tool up off the floor. And I'm going to pop these all in here one more time, and I'm going to pop that edge up the top there and score them at 3/4 of an inch again. Now you could have done this before if you want, if you feel confident. I'm not confident at making sure I get them in the middle. So you've got 8 halves that you're going to score in the middle along that edge. I know that then they are all going to be even. Okay. Once I've done that, I can now put my board down there and bring in my piece, making sure that this piece now is on the bottom, because we don't want it showing, do we, at all. Alright, so we're going to fold these in half and burnish them, and then we're going to pop glue onto them like so, and we're going to pop that on the corner like so, butting it up against the edge of the designer series paper. And I'm going to do that on all the corners. So I'm going to fold and burnish all of these. That way, if you don't want to watch me finishing this off around this bit, you can whiz through to the next section. Okay. I find it easier to work on one side going around and then actually turning it over and then doing the next side. That just is me, but you might like to do both sides at the same time. These will overlap on the bottom and the top. That is correct. Okay, so I'm going to turn my box around and I'm going to start again on the other side. Sit down, you. I can see you sitting up and you're not supposed to. Oh, come on. One more. Like so. Okay, so this is the bottom of our box because that's where our join is, so we need to turn it over for the top. That's got needs a tiny little bit more glue underneath that one, as you can see, and I'll put the glue all over the top as well. That's not going to hurt because we're going to do our handle. We have our handle and we do need our scoreboard again. How would you believe? Alright, so this time we're going to score this and scoring tool at 3/4 of an inch on the short side. Oops, up the wrong way. 3/4 of an inch. And then we're going to turn this onto the long side and we're going to score this at 3/4 of an inch, 1.5 inches, 4.5 inches, and 5.25 inches. Okay. So we're actually going to just fold and burnish on the long side first, and then we're going to glue that down. I'm going to have to give that a few seconds to dry, and while that's drying, we're then going to fold the second score line in. Is going to be a mountain fold. We're going to do that on both sides. Second score line in is going to be a mountain fold, and then our first score line is going to be a valley fold. This is so that this gives this handle a bit more oomph. Okay, once we've done that, our handle is now ready, and we can pop our handle onto our box. And now we want to make sure that our join is at the bottom so that our handle goes on the top. So we're going to pop some glue onto the base of that first section, and we're going to glue it so that it's right on this edge here. So now you can see why I didn't worry about the fact that I had a little bit of glue showing on that side. Once we've done that one, we're now going to do exactly the same on the other side. And glue that one to the edge like so. So we have our handle sitting on the top of our box. Okay, we're going to leave that for a second to dry. Pop our pin in our glue again, and we're going to do a little bit of stamping onto this section here. So I've got some garden green ink, and I'm going to stamp my happiest of birthdays. Like so. And then I'm going to cut off about, I think about 12 or 13 inches long, which is, oh, that's all inches on that. I don't know, about 30 centimetres. Right, so we're going to pop this through here. So we're going to pop it through the first one, then the second one, and then we're going to put a couple of dimensionals onto the back of this first. Oops, got to take the backing off, don't we? tag, and we're going to pop that on so that I can still move these around and you can still see the one underneath. Really easy. And then I'm going to pop that through the handle, and then I'm going to glue that into place just there. With that glued into place, I can then tie myself a nice bow or knot or whatever we want here. Like so. I'm going to put some of these greeny ones on this side here on our little bits up here. So I'm going to use these bigger ones just to make it look like studs that are on the holding the handle on. And then I will put one of these really small ones down the bottom here. And that's our project Wowzer Wednesday project for August. What do you think? It's such a lovely project, lovely idea, really simple idea. And as I say, it's a nice size box. This box measures, let me see, 4 3/4 inches by 3 5/8 of an inch by 1 1/8 of an inch. So it's a really handy size box. You could put some nice gentleman's hankies in there. A pair of socks. Those tiny little whiskey bottles. I think you'd probably fit 2 of those in there. That's today's project. If you've enjoyed today's project, I would love you to leave me a comment and tell me what you think. I do answer all the comments. If you've enjoyed this, you are welcome to join me on my Facebook group for the written tutorial, which you'll find the link down the bottom here, called Die Stamp for Stamping, Crafting and Tutorials. You will also be able to download that for free. If you've enjoyed this, and leave me a comment. I do answer everybody's comments, and I would love you to subscribe so you don't miss any other projects. And I will see you again on Sunday. Bye for now.